Hello students. In this video, we will discuss regarding the basic introduction of Industrial Disputes Act. Now, as the name suggests, Industrial Dispute is an act which will be focusing on reducing and eliminating the disputes in the industries. Now, we all have to understand that this act came into force on 1st April 1947. You have to learn this. And according to the statement of objectives and reasons, some objectives of the act has been given like this. First objective is to prevent the dispute with the help of work committee. Every organization will have a work committee that will just try that dispute should not even start. It will prevent it. The second objective is if the dispute has started, we have to investigate it through the Court of Inquiry (COI). The third objective is in case of any dispute, there is a three-tier system of labor court, industrial tribunals and national tribunals through which the disputes will be settled. Next is this act will try that the strikes and lockouts should not be commenced, and if it is commenced, it should not be continued for beyond a specified period. And there should be a method to pay compensation in case the workers are being laid off, retrenched, and the organization is getting close. The next is there should not be any unfair labor practices for the workers. The labor should be satisfied in the factory. So these are the 6 objectives of this act that you have to remember. Now next very basic term for this act is what is an industry. So industry, it is a systematic activity which is carried out by the cooperation between employer and workmen, and these workmen can be employed directly by the employer or he can take help from any agency, and this agency can be a contractor. Now, why the people are recruited in the industry? For the production, supply or distribution of goods or services. And the objective of industry is to satisfy the human wants and wishes. Any industry will not be coming under this definition if it is made for any spiritual or religious purpose. Whether or not any capital has been invested or not, that is immaterial for carrying out the activity. And if such activity is carried out with the motive of gaining the profits or not, and it includes any activity of dock labor board which is established under section 5A. Now, whenever you are discussing regarding any industry, you have to keep these points in mind. And any activity which is related to promotion of or sales of business or both carried out, all such activities will be included in the industry. But there are few activities which will not be included. And first is the agricultural operations. We cannot consider the agricultural operations to be an industry, but where the agricultural operations are carried out in an integrated manner with some other activity which is of industrial nature, and such activity is a predominant one, in that case it will be considered as an industry. Otherwise, you will never consider agricultural operation as an industry. Hospitals and dispensaries will not be industry. Educational, scientific research institutions will not be an industry. Any institutions which are working for charitable purpose, philanthropic service, it will not be an industry. Khadi and village industries are not included in this definition, and any other activity which is carried out by the government for the foreign functions or by the Department of Central Government which is dealing with the defense research, atomic energy or space, you will not include it in the definition of industry. Even the domestic servant service which is provided, it is not an industry. Then any activity which is carried out as a profession by any individual or body of individuals or by any person in relation to its profession, and where the people are less than 10, we cannot call it an industry. And any activity which is carried out by the cooperative society, any club or any body of individuals for the social cause, social purpose which is less than 10, you will not consider them to be an industry. So now we have discussed what will be included in the definition of industry and a few terms which you will not include in the definition of industry. Now another important concept that comes to our mind is what is industrial dispute, because this entire act will be dealing with the disputes. So what is industrial dispute? You have to remember this section very clearly. According to section 2, subsection K, this deals with the industrial dispute. Dispute means any difference between employers, employers and workmen, or workmen and workmen. So three parties are included: employer-employer, employer-employee, employee-employee. And such dispute can be connected with the employment or non-employment, both, or within the conditions of labor of any person. So all these things will be included. So let us see what are the characteristics of industrial dispute. First is there should be a dispute or difference. There has to be a dispute. The real dispute is something which is having a capacity of settlement. It is a dispute, and if one party will be giving relief to the other party will be okay. So there has to be a real dispute. Second is who can be the parties to industrial dispute. We have already discussed that there should be a dispute between three types of parties. It can be there between employer and workman, workman and workman, employer and employer. So these three are included. Now what will be the cause for the dispute? Now the causes of disputes that we will discuss further. As the definition has told us, that the dispute may be related to employment or non-employment. It can be related to terms of employment, condition of any labor or person who's working. Then industrial dispute is always a collective dispute. So it is not the dispute of one, and there is a fear that all are going to stop the work. There can be strike, there can be lockout. Only then a collective dispute will be coming under the definition of industrial dispute. Now the next point is industrial dispute. Individual dispute can also become a industrial dispute. It may start from one person, but it may lead to the interest of community. So an individual dispute can be considered as an industrial dispute when it is supported by a body of workmen and they have a common interest. It can be coming under the definition of industrial dispute. Now next point is who is a workman now. Now workman is a person which has been defined under section 2 subsection S of the Act. Now it is a person who is employed in the industry, maybe on any manual work, unskilled work, skilled work, clerical work, hire or reward, whether the terms of employment are expressed or implied, and such person is working in the industry. A person who has been dismissed, discharged, retrenched, all these people are being included in the definition of workman. So this person can be dismissed, discharged due to the wrongfulness of the employer also. And then it says that it does not include some persons. So you have to remember this also, which persons are not included in this. The first one is the person who is subject to Air Force Act, Army Act or Navy Act. So the person who are working under defense, we will not include them as a workman. Second is who is employed under police services, we will not include them. Any person who is working in the managerial or administration capacity, he is not a workman. And then any person who is working in the supervisory capacity and who is drawing of wages exceeding 10,000 rupees per month, or the nature of duty of such person is that of managerial nature. So you will not call them as the managers. So this was all about who is a workman. Another important point in the basics of this act is types of dispute. Now what type of disputes can arise? Now the disputes can be of various types. According to the Disputes Act, the disputes are settled under various courts, tribunals, and the disputes can be due to any of these reasons. Fairness of the standing orders which have been issued by the employer. There can be retrenchment of the workers, you are laying off the workers, that can lead to a dispute. The dispute can be you are not giving any payment allowances to the workers, you are not listening to their demands, medical reliefs are not given to their parents. So all these things may create a dispute between the employer and employee. There can be dispute for wages, minimum rates for the wages, mode of payment, how you are making the payment, and the awards which are given by the courts on wages. Then there can be disputes related to due to the lockout done by the employer or illegal strike which is done by the employees. Then dispute can be due to the payment of hours, gratuity, pension, traveling allowance. Dispute can be related to the rival unions, or dispute can be between the employers and employers due to their reasons. So all these things are included. The disputes can be of various reasons. Another important point is why the dispute arises, what are the causes of the dispute, that has also been mentioned under this act. Now this is very general. The disputes, first point is it is a matter related to employment. Employment means you are getting work which is different, which was promised. Wages may not be up to the mark. Hours of work may be more or less. The privileges were promised that are not being given. So all the matters that are connected to the employment, there can be the differences between the thinking of employer and employee, or the person has been dismissed from the job, the registered agreements have not been completed, the settlement or award which was given, it has not been given, then there is demarcation of the function of an employee. So any term which is related to employment, that can be a cause of dispute. Second can be economic conditions. A dispute can arise due to rapidly increasing population, that is affecting the employment opportunities. Unemployment is rising. The setting up of capital intensive industry, that is why the people may be getting retrenched in the factories, or the manpower is sitting idle, that can be a reason. So these are few economic reasons which can lead to the dispute. Third reason for the dispute can be diminishing real wages. The real wages of the workers are diminishing, and the dearness allowance you are getting is not sufficient enough, so that can lead to a dispute. Then is changing the attitude of the workers. Now the workers attitude towards the organization may be changing, so that can lead to a dispute. Inefficiency of the trade union. Trade union is not that good, it is not keeping your points, so that can lead to a dispute. Then is management does not have a good attitude towards the labor and laborers will go on strike, it can lead to a dispute. There can be absence of suitable grievance redressal mechanism, so that can again lead to a dispute. So this was all about the definitions and basic concepts of the Industrial Disputes Act. In the coming video, we will discuss regarding the modes of settlement of industrial dispute. Thank you so much.